right, call the meeting to order. Maybe that clock's on time for once. Huh.
I think Alinka fixed it.
Oh,
Couldn't
okay.
reach it.
Let's see. So the first thing we have is approval of last meeting's minutes. Entertain a motion to approve the October 12th Select Board meeting minutes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, so 5-0. Additions and deletions. We have under new business a liquor license for the Harmonyville store. Looks like a second class, that's all I saw in that package. We have Andy here to talk about the DV fiber situation. And that's under members of the public. And we have under the chair's reports, a handout on our cost of claims from the insurance carrier. It's in your packet. Okay. So, since we're moving right into members of the public, Andy, go right ahead.
Okay. Well, I wanted to get back to you because it was in early May that this legislative body voted to join the Deerfield Valley Communications Union District and appointed Bob DeServo as our representative and me as the alternate. Bob is in Maine tonight, so you get me by default, if that's okay. But I wanted to give you a little update of what's been going on, because there's been a lot going on, and I think a lot of very favorable activity. For those that may not be familiar, the Deerfield Valley Fiber Communications Union District, or DV Fiber for short, is a special project municipality by statute of the state. Similar maybe to like the Wyndham Solid Waste District, whatever. I mean, it is, from a legal entity point of view, it is a municipality without any geographical territory other than the member towns. And I think, I don't remember what the number was when Townshend joined, but it's now 24 different towns, which covers pretty much all the towns in Wyndham County.
I don't think the number was that high when you presented this to us.
Couple in Bennington and one in Windsor now. So it is expanded quite dramatically. The ones in Wyndham that are not members already have near 100% internet or broadband coverage, so they're not likely to have an interest in joining. But the mission is, to just kind of repeat it, is to bring high-speed internet to basically every house and residence and business along every road in the territory that it's served. And that's been something that I know that Montpelier has been promising for various different plans for years and years. Well, it's happening, and it's happening very quickly now, which is pretty exciting to watch this new entity, which is a pretty big undertaking, come together. I mean, it's got some speed bumps, no doubt, but it's a lot of volunteer effort. I think there's about 50 to 60 people that are putting in a lot of hours trying to make this happen. They've started the planning, and recently just signed a memorandum of understanding with GWI, which is a B corporation out of Biddeford, Maine, to be the partner to do the designing of the network and the construction of the internet network. So that's getting the technical expertise that the volunteer groups do not have. Another important distinction is we've gone through the first, well, the actual DV Fiber started early in 2020, so it's coming up on 2 years, but have been pretty minimal spending financed by various grants up to this point. But last week, DB Fiber received a $4.1 million grant from the Vermont Community Broadband Board. That is, ultimately that goes back to being ARPA money. So it is federal dollars dedicated to broadband development. But that's, you know, it's a big chunk of change. So definitely there is a commitment there to make that happen. And that money is going to be used to do the basic design and the pre-construction work for the 6 towns that have the least amount of internet access currently. Those are Halifax, Whitingham, Reedsboro, Stamford, Marlborough, and Wardsboro. Townshend has got like 58% of the residences are covered with broadband service currently, which is basically through Comcast or what was Southern Vermont Cable. So we actually have better service than many, but not as good service as we would like to have. Basically up some of the, when you get off 30 and 35, the Comcast network doesn't really go up a lot of the side roads. So that will be where DB Fiber will eventually want to expand their network services. Looking forward, once we get the pre-construction done, and which involves mapping out telephone poles and all that sorts of thing, I'm looking to get another grant, which will also be coming through federal money, probably upwards $20 million for the actual construction, and maybe more. I mean, the total project is probably estimated to be in the 40 million plus range. So it's not a small undertaking. And the expected first, service or first customer is expected sometime roughly about a year from now. So kind of, late next year. And then additional towns will be added as we expand the network. I mean, not necessarily, depend on where the actual fiber is laid as to which towns then get added after those initial 6 with the least amount of service. But pretty soon, within the next couple of years, we should be really looking at having every residence will have broadband access available to them. So, and you should also have an annual report which lays out sort of what I just said in a narrative, probably in better phrased and better terms, so there'll also be some financial numbers there behind that for the details. So if anybody has any questions or anything, that would be fine.
Anybody have any questions for Andy?
No. Okay. Well, thank you for your support of the organization. I mean, I think it's going to mean a lot to both the towns and to the greater community.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I have nothing under correspondence at this point. Rob, why don't you go ahead and do the warrants?
Make a motion to pay the warrants, starting with payroll, $10,854.43. Number 2, payroll in the amount of $799.97. Number 3, payroll tax in the amount of $4,766.11. Number 4, payroll tax in the amount of $276.53. Number 5, general fund in the amount of $11,332.94. Number 6, the general fund in the amount of $5.32. Number 7, general fund in the amount of $16,780. Number 8, highway in the amount of $105,714.68. Number 9, highway in the amount of $21.30. In the number 10, equipment fund in the amount of $1,154.42 for a total of $151,705.70.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, just so you know, on number 7, those were funds that were appropriated at town meeting. They've just been paid out of this payroll, or out of this round of warrants. Any other comments, questions, anything else? Okay. All those in favor of paying check warrants of $151,705.70 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 5-0. Okay. Steve, go ahead.
The 2 grants that were completed, that I announced at the last meeting, the paperwork has all been closed out and submitted for reimbursement. The state bidded the salt contract at the end of last week. It's been awarded to Cargill. Cargill's quote to the town of Townsend is $73 a ton. We paid $70 a ton last year with Appalachia. I did call Appalachia for a quote, and they quoted Townsend at $90 a ton. Also for winter sand, Sersasimo raised their price $1 a yard. It went from $15 a yard to $16 a yard. I got a quote from Zaluzny, who quoted us at $23 a yard. So I would recommend that the town go with Cargill for salt and Sersasimo for winter sand.
Okay. Do we have a motion for that?
Yes.
Okay. I will take it you're quoting Steve for the motion. Cargill's and Sersasimo's.
Yes,
Okay.
both of them.
Is there a second?
16 and 73.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. 5-0.
We're continuing to clean out culverts and ditches on Townsend Acres. The leaf blower has been out. It was in West Townsend today. It does work fine in the rain. And tomorrow is a road foreman's meeting in Dover, sponsored by V-Trans Better Road and Wyndham Regional. And I will be attending 9 to 1 at the Dover Highway Department.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Any questions for Steve? Okay. The treasurer's report, under the municipal investment fund, there's $893,048.30 and $30,000 in the checking account. In your packets, you'll see a group of paperwork that comes from our insurance company, and these are basically claims that have been made against our insurance for, it looks like in this review, several years. Some of them go back to 2016, but there doesn't look to be any recent activity. There's one that's not on there because it's a personnel issue. We can't really discuss who it's about, but that one, from what I understand from the insurance company, was contracted out to take care of the coverage on it. All right. Alenka.
Hi, yeah. So in your packets, there are 2 estimates. So, kind of, since I started, I've had people talking to me, researchers and people that come in to do land research, lawyers, about if we're gonna be online, and if so. So I've talked to a lot of people about if it's a benefit, how much easier it is, and then other towns. There's also a list of towns in Vermont that are all in some level of having their land records online. Obviously I'm new at this, but I feel like it's something that's kind of a direction that we're heading into. And when I looked, so there's a list of the 100 towns in Vermont that are online. I put percentages of so I talked to also the people that were doing research into what programs they like the best, were easy to work with. NIMRIC is something that we've sort of been using at this point, but we don't have our files online. It's just an index. But for those of you that used it or not, it's not the smoothest operating system at all. So you can see on the top COT, which is the one that I have the estimates from, over 50% of towns use it. I've spoken to some towns, including Brattleboro. The clerk in Brattleboro has something else, but they're in the process of switching to COT. So it is, if you see the estimates, it's a large amount of money up front. What comes in, so every time someone records a land record, per page, it's $15. So today I just took a check for someone for $360. So there's a fair amount of money that comes in. October up to date, we're just under 3,000 that we brought in for that. Of every $15 that comes in, $4 goes into a restorative fund, which we have roughly about $40,000 right now. Most of the really old records have been kind of maintained or have been restored or in plastic containers and stuff, so that you can see it, but it's not going to be damaged like the town, the original deed or the land declaration or whatever. So it's a substantial amount of money, but it's also in some ways a one-time fee of getting all of the work scanned, all of the land documents scanned back 40 years, which is what when people come in and do real estate title searches, they need. It's something that ultimately will save taxpayers in town. If you're about to buy a property, you don't necessarily have to have a lawyer or something come pay them by the hour to drive down to be here, and to spend money doing research. If for every time someone that comes in to do research documents a page, takes a photocopy, it's $1 per page. We would still be getting that $1 per page back. So I'm kind of open for what you guys think about it. We do have the money. A lot of towns in the area are using the ARPA funds for that as well. This contract, the money that we have in front of us, is really only good till the end of the month. And it's also contingent. The numbers are lower because there's a lot of other towns that are using ARPA money right now to start putting themselves online. So there's 7 other towns in Vermont that are looking at doing this right now that help keep our costs a little lower. I think it's sort of one of the things that I'm not saying it has to be done right away, but it's definitely something moving us forward. I have a friend in town. She's from Appalachia. They have all their land records online. She does say it's by county, so that it's not just a small town. So I wanted to kind of get your input and for you to look at it, because it is a substantial amount of money.
This is the 34,000.
The 34,000. So that would be for them to come in and really efficiently. They have scanners come in over a couple days and scan all the documents, the land records back 40 years, and index them. So it'd be all available online, as well as people could still come in here. So and then it's $170 a fee a month to keep it kind of up and running. But like I said, even though we're in a high volume of real estate, there's still $3,000 was brought in, this month alone, just by people recording records. So, I know it's a lot of money. I talked to Elaine today. The money that's in the restoration fund, it's not like we could use it for anything else. That's really what it's there for. Just at that state, I wouldn't want to necessarily totally drain that account. So if there was ARPA money, or Sherwood and I talked about other stuff available. But I feel like the bulk of this could be something that's coming out of a fund that's been paid into $4 a sheet for years, and I'm not really sure what else it would go to.
So with your conversation with Elaine today, do you have enough so that you could sign this contract before the deadline? And I'm assuming the deadline is because after that deadline, the price tag goes up.
Right, price tag goes up. It's only going to go up. So, and this is, like I said, because there's 7 other towns in Vermont. The last time I talked to the guy the cop guy that does it. So it goes up at that point. Right now we would have the money to do,
Okay.
to do that.
The only thing I'm thinking is if we have the money set aside in a fund right now, that you could sign the contract, and if something fell through with the ARPA funding situation, you wouldn't be in breach of contract,
Yeah.
and you'd still be able to move forward without having to, at least right now, try to allocate any of it.
just for that, it would be nice to kind of have sort of a promissory that we would get, that there could be some money in that fund coming back in. Though it does, like I said, it's $4 per page, so it's, it's still coming in, so.
Any questions? Feedback?
Sounds awesome.
I think it sounds like a great idea.
And I'll go for that tomorrow. So the other thing that's on my agenda is, I'm looking into, and this is not at all for the treasurer, I'm not gonna go into, people paying their taxes through cards, but I've had a lot of people that come in, especially out-of-staters, or even, I don't really carry cash around with me either, but to offer a way that they could pay with their card. So it would definitely be, so there's two, I've also done research with other town clerks in the area, there's two that people use. One is paygov.us and one is Municipay. They both have a fee that would go directly to whoever was making a purchase. It wouldn't cost the town anything. The money would get directly deposited into an account. I've already, Elaine and I are kind of talking about how to make it as easy and seamless as possible for her. I think at this point I'm going to go with Municipay because the percentage that the cardholder would have to pay is 2.65% versus 3%. So even though it's only a savings of 0.35%, it makes sense to offer people a little bit of a better deal. So that's the other thing that's kind of on my agenda right now. Any thoughts on that, or?
How expandable is that? I know you said that right now you're looking at just people that come in for miscellaneous
For my
things.
over-the-counter stuff,
Yeah.
I think it would be, I don't think it would be hard for the company to do it. How the tax collector would figure that out, I don't wanna step on any toes going into that direction.
But what you're saying is it's flexible.
It's flexible, yeah. The other thing is that you can get a card reader with it, which is, it's like $195, but I've talked to other town clerks that have had it, and they say it's a pain, you have to plug it into your computer each time, so that they find it, people don't use it that often, it's easier to just not have the card reader and just directly type it in the computer. So cost saving and efficiency for people that use it, that's the direction I would go in, at least to start.
Okay. Any questions, comments about that?
Sounds like another good idea.
Okay.
Thank
That's it.
Thank you.
All right. Next up. Old business, law enforcement contract. We had been working on this since the changeover in the fiscal year. The sheriff's department didn't get back to us. And the state police responded just this last week and said that they don't have the manpower to cover our law enforcement needs. So that $20,000 that is set aside for law enforcement is probably going to roll back over into the budget. That doesn't stop anybody from calling the police, whoever you want to call, but we don't have a motor vehicle contract with any law enforcement agency this year.
Will that go into the general fund, or how will that money be reallocated?
It'll roll
You get
back into the
voted on?
general fund.
Okay.
Okay, and that was that on that particular one. Okay, public statement. We met last time over the display issue next door, and we heard from several people involved and affected by it. And the town attorney was consulted, and the statement that was originally drafted, I believe it was Jenny. Did you make this make the original draft?
Yes.
Yeah, that was the one that the town attorney liked. said it was in line with a lot of other areas in the county in this area. So I'm just gonna read it out loud. This is what this is what's been released in the news media and to the website, or the unofficial website. Town of Townsend values all residents and visitors, no matter their background or identities. While difference of opinion can be celebrated and debated, we condemn symbols of hate being displayed in our town in disregard of the welcoming nature of our community as a whole. Is there anybody that has anything else that they'd like to add to this issue? Go ahead.
Has the select board approved that statement? Because I was unclear.
Yes, we had done it basically singularly, so.
Okay, not at a,
Has it been open for a vote in this arena? No. Once the attorney read the message, approved it, a message was sent out for feedback. So that's.
was the attorney made aware that this was in direct response to a single incident involved a single individual or resident of the town?
He got all of it,
And
yeah.
so that it is not a general statement, it is a very specific statement directed at one resident of our town?
He got all of the information that we were given. So he did know that there was an issue with a person, but that, as far as that went, there was no other identifiers.
So I think from the discussion I've heard and some of the discussion that was on Front Porch Forum, everyone has agreed that it is covered by freedom of speech to display whatever
Yep.
you care.
Absolutely. That was one of the big concerns about releasing any statement until the attorney saw what it was.
So the select board representing town governance is taking a statement on what they consider to be, what is considered free speech both locally and I believe by previous court rulings, not in this area, but in general, that we're going to define some free speech as hate speech and not others.
Well, I think it's general. It's not specifically, this statement wasn't directed at anybody specifically. Although it was well known who was involved in it, it was a general statement about any kind of hate speech.
And who is the definer of what is hate speech?
Any citizen that may come to this board,
Pardon?
any citizen that has something to say is welcome to come to this board and we discuss it.
Andy, if you have something to say, just say it. If you have weird questions to ask it. But it's like, let's not try to dig through the weeds and figure out what you're trying to think. Please.
I guess I'm saying that I don't feel that it's appropriate for the town governance to enter in on what is acceptable free speech within the confines of town.
Thank you.
And part of the definition of really free speech is that we have to put up with things that we don't agree with, that we find, I don't know, perhaps, searching for the right word, despicable, whatever. But that's in the essence what we mean by free speech.
Well, in this particular statement, Andy, it looks to me, and it was approved by the attorney as not singling anybody out or any particular.
Okay, that's why I asked whether he's aware of the background.
Oh, yeah.
Where if one traces the background, it is abundantly clear that it is targeted at a single individual.
We have somebody in the audience that would like to make a comment. Could you just state your name, please? Let's see.
Can I speak up?
I can't see who's talking.
Linda.
Linda? Linda, go ahead.
Linda.
Go ahead. I think she's muted.
There, am I unmuted?
There you go.
Okay. I am very sick and tired of the argument that we have just heard. Townsend Select Board has been incredibly both brave and really very clear that this is a general statement pertaining to the town of Townsend against hatred and cruelty in the town. This is badly needed. This flag that was hung out over Route 30 engendered symbols and reactions of fear, of terror, of horror. The symbols were hateful. We do not want to get back into any individual role in this. That is not the role either of us as the public or of the select board, and they are being very careful about this. They are simply saying that something of this hatred and this cruelty that is hung out in the middle of our town, of Townsend, cannot be tolerated, and a statement must be made. It has nothing to do with anybody can say anything they want. This gentleman that's talking can keep going as long as he wants with whatever he wants to say. But this was a statement against hatred and cruelty in Townsend, and that's that I commend this select board so heartily for what they did. And they did it very efficiently, unlike last night, which was a mess. Anyway, thank you, select board.
Okay, thank you. Was there
Oh,
anybody?
by the way, I'm representing NAACP. I should say that in the middle of all this. Wyndham County.
Okay. Was there anybody else that wanted to speak? Go right ahead.
Yeah, I was here a couple of weeks ago and shared my concern about the incident and in support of the statement. I came back really on behalf of my wife and myself. I'm a local resident, and I just wanted to thank the board for acting, for being receptive to the language and acting more quickly than I gather some of us were wanting to. So thank you.
Juliet Carr or Geraldine, is it? I can't read your name. I haven't got the right set of glasses.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, did you either one of you have anything to say? Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Earl Julian Cisse, and I am actually a resident of South Newfane, and so a voting resident of Newfane. And Newfane did made a similar statement, and I mostly want to say thank you for doing this. You were able to check it all out as you did with the attorney and didn't violate anything, and it's not so much, it's not against in any way free speech. It's, you know, supporting the town and the community as an inclusive and caring place, and I thank you for making the statement. I'm a former teacher at Leland and Gray High School, and you know, as a staff member, I go to Grace Cottage, and I just feel like it was very important for Townsend to make this statement for everyone, and it doesn't have to just be because of that particular flag. It's just in general, you're making a statement about the town and the community and its inclusiveness. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Juliet, did you have anything, or were you all set?
Yeah, just briefly, I'm also here primarily to echo this groundswell of thanks that I think you're getting. I run West River Valley Mutual Aid, and in that capacity I've gotten a lot of emails since your last select board meeting on this topic, and they have been overwhelmingly in support of the Townsend Select Board statement, especially since the press release came out with the statement. It has been one of the most intense emotional outpourings that I've seen in the year and a half of doing this work in this community. I mean, we've got all different, like people from very diverse backgrounds chiming in just to say this was really meaningful for them personally in all of the ways. And you know, if that's something that the select board would like to see, I can forward you some of those emails in an anonymized fashion if that would work. But I want you to know that there are a significant number of people who live in Townsend or work in Townsend or send their kids to school in Townsend who feel personally affected by both the display of the swastika during high holidays and the swiftness that you responded. That has not gone unnoticed, and I know this is like a down agenda item that seems a little bit pedantic, but just to be really clear, this has been very well received, and we really appreciate your work on this issue.
Thank you. Yes, if you wouldn't mind sending those to Connie, we'll put it with the file that we're keeping with all of the information that was generated here. Jenny, did you want to?
Yeah, I would also just like to echo the last two sentiments of thank you and respond as the person who wrote the statement, that the whole point was, it may have been in response to an individual incident, which is often where, our response comes from. But the whole point was to make it more about the town. I think everyone here and hopefully everyone in our country completely understands not only the value of free speech, but the legal bounds our country has to it. And so, that we know we can't do anything about that, and for better and for worse. But the point was to kind of make a statement on the town's behalf of our values and our beliefs, which is within our legal right, that we value each other and condemn symbols of hate.
Thank you. Okay, it appears to be everybody that signed on and has asked to be heard about this. We'll put it in the file with all of the material that was sent to us initially and what Juliet will send to Connie, just to make sure that we've got everybody's perspective. All right, so is there anything else from the board? No? Okay. All right, so we have a liquor license for the Harmonyville store. It looks like it's a...
I guess it's old.
Yes, apparently it did.
That's good.
Second class, I'm gonna butcher that name. Donna and Charles Moitza are the people applying for it. We haven't had any problems that I've heard of with the liquor licenses out of Harmonyville in the past. Anybody heard any issues, complaints?
No.
About it? Okay. All right. I'd entertain a motion then to approve the second class liquor license for Harmonyville Stores new owners.
So, second.
Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? 5-0. Okay, unless there's anything else to bring up, our next regularly scheduled meeting will be the 9th of November, and I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Oh.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.